welcome back for Wednesday's daily dose of medicine and fun. Remember, we're going to start with those 10 belly breaths, giving yourself that permission and the grace and space to take 30 to 45 minutes just for you. Once we've done that, I actually remember to grab my jump rope. We're going to do 30 single unders. So heels, feet together, heels together. Nice, big, tall, straight jumps, 30 single unders. We're then going to go into 10 total lunge steps. Remember with the lunge step, we want to step all the way forward. Our goal is to get that trailing knee to the ground. We're going to drive through the heel to stand up. If we are doing a walking lunge, we also have the option of just doing a standing lunge in place, coming through, driving back through the heel to stand back up. So staying in place depending on where we're doing today's workout. From there, we're going to do 10 Russian baby makers. Heels outside of the hips. Remember guys, the goal is that by the second round, when we come back to do these, our hips are going to be more mobile. We're going to be able to get much lower. I like to go a little wider than where I would air squat. I'm going to take my hands underneath my toes. I'm going to use my elbows to push my knees open, getting my chest as tall as I can. From there, I'm going to drop the chest towards the toes, or nose to toes, dropping back up and through. So 10 of those for 2 rounds. We've got day 2 of our Murph prep. It's going to look a lot like Mondays. That's okay, right? We're easing into this. We've got 7 more weeks after this week to get ready for Murph. So we are easing ourselves into this. Every 60 seconds or 90 seconds, it's written as 90, but if that is too easy, if you're completing it in 20 to 30 seconds, then we need to amp it up to 60 seconds so that it's a work-rest ratio. 3 pull-ups, so chin over bar. We could also do ring rows. If we've got a band, I know that some people have some bands at home. I'll make a separate video talking about how we can rig this up on a door jamb. But coming in, elbows hide outside and doing face pulls, I would double that, so 6 face pulls to the 3 pull-ups, as well as if we don't have a band at home, but we've got a kettlebell handy or a dumbbell, barbell would work as well. We're going to do 6 bent over rows with a pause or squeeze at the top before we come back down. Should be a nice controlled movement, so we're forcing that upper back to do the work. From there, we're going to drop down into our 4 push-ups. Remember guys, with our push-up, the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder are all going to stay nice and stacked. We want a nice straight body position. We're looking for the chest to make physical contact with the ground, driving that tricep to push that floor away. So we want to avoid the knees hitting first, chest hitting, as well as knees staying down, and then we end up kind of with these wormy type push-ups. If you are finding yourself having that knee worming position, raise your hands up. Could be coffee table, could be the box that you're going to use for today's workout, could be your stairs, but we want to keep the straight body position as much as possible and save knee push-ups for when we're just totally exhausted and gassed. 3 total rounds, and that's your Murph prep for today. From there, we're going to move into a fun workout. The way that the reps are written is not the way the reps have to be completed. So we'll talk about kind of the structure of the workout first, and then we'll talk about movements. The workout itself is going to be 40 strict pull-ups, 80 box jump over, 120 kettlebell snatch, and 160 air squats. I know that wasn't a real air squat. That's okay. We're going to get into the movements. But we're going to break it up any way that we want. The way that it has been done, we had a recommendation to break it into 20 rounds so that it's small numbers, allows you to keep chipping. Again, up to you how you want to handle that, especially if we're doing 40 strict pull-ups. If you are like me, high volume is just not gonna happen. So doing 2 at a time is much more realistic. So the strict pull-up, if we don't have a pull-up bar, if we've got a set of rings or possibly a TRX system, that would work as well. We would come in, goal is to stand shoulders directly below the rig. From there we'll fall back, pulling elbows into our sides. We want to make sure that we initiate that movement by bringing the chest forward and then pulling with the arms versus just pulling from the biceps. We also want to make sure that as we come back, we control that, so you shouldn't feel a jar or a drop at the bottom. Again, if we've got a band handy, great, use it. I would, depending on the thickness, so this is a Monster Mini, so kind of the smallest large, or I should say maybe the largest of the small bands that we have here. It's the black one here at Coca. We would do a face pull. I would do 3 times the amount. If we have the next band up, which is your light band, I would only double it, right? Big tension difference between the black and the green to the purple that we have here. But those are your options for your pull-up substitution. I suppose at the very bottom, if we don't have a TRX or a band, we could use a barbell or a dumbbell for that bent over row again would work. Now the box jump over. I have a very small box here so that we can just talk about takeoff and land in a graceful way. When we think about box jump over, the ultimate goal would be to completely clear the box. I'm not even going to pretend that that is something that I can do. So I'm going to do a box jump and then step to the other side. From here, hips go back. Heels are going to be underneath my hips. I'm going to use that momentum of the hip driving into the ball of the foot. Both feet are going to land at the same time. When we land, we want our knees to stay nice and stacked over our ankles. So we should avoid that wonking in. The other thing we want to avoid is landing in the ball of foot. So try and get your whole foot on the box with a nice soft land. From there, I would step off the other side. Rep would count when I come down the other side of the box. So that's our box jump over. From there, we're going to go into our kettlebell snatch. Now remember, if you go on the YouTube channel, there is a playlist called Kettlebell. The only video that we have in there is a kettlebell snatch review video. So if we're not sure or comfortable with the kettlebell snatch, go ahead and watch that. If you are really feeling wonky, give me a call. We can FaceTime and figure it out. I like to have my heels in my air squat position, so just slightly outside of the hips. From here, I'm going to initiate the kettlebell swing from the hip. Once I feel a moment of weightlessness, I'm going to high pull, and from there, I'm going to punch through. Technically, if we're not comfortable with bringing the kettlebell back down into that next swing, we can do a half snatch, bringing it down to the shoulder, and then resetting. So if you ever hear somebody, especially Laura, right, our kettlebell coach, if you hear her talking about a snatch versus a half snatch, full snatch is all the way through without any stop in the middle. A half snatch, we're going to snatch up, come down to the shoulder before we return into that next repetition. So full snatch versus half snatch. Do whichever you're most comfortable with. Again, we're breaking up the reps between left and right anyway. And then our final movement is going to be our air squat, which is our most basic, but sometimes the most complex of the movements that we do. Heels outside of the hips. We want the weight to stay kind of shifted towards the heel, but we want the ball of the foot to stay in contact with the ground. From here, I'm going to think about sending my hips down, leaving the chest nice and tall, returning to that full standing position. What we want to avoid, especially when we're doing high volume air squats, is that chest coming forward and staying forward, allowing us to cheat that end range of motion. So we want to make sure that we don't over-exaggerate. We're not looking to send the hips forward and the shoulders back to the top of each rep. I know that can happen when we're tired, but we just want to stand tall, right? The easiest way, they teach it in the CrossFit Kids class, is stand like a superhero, where you're nice and tall, right? So we're not leaned back and we're not chest forward. If we have the other equipped, we're suggesting the ring row, or again the bent over row, but the rep scheme stays the same. So we're coming in to the chest, depending on the weight that we have to do the bent over row, either double or keep the same. So if we're gonna go with a little heavier bent over row, 40 could be enough. If all I have is an 18-pound kettlebell, maybe I'm gonna need to do 80. All right, so use your best judgment. Use the judgment that if I were looking over your shoulder, that's the weight you should use. Okay, seem fair? That's our workout today. For our finisher, we're gonna do a classic hip stretch opener combination. We're gonna have that back hip opening up towards the floor. So a 1-minute low dragon. I get a pretty good stretch here. If I want to really take to the next level, I can sink even farther down into that. We just want to make sure that we don't start twisting our chest and compromising that position to work away from stretching that hip. Once we've done a minute on each side, we're then going to go into that figure 4 or the pigeon. If the figure 4 is too much for you, we can always come on our backs, where we create the figure 4 in front of us. And now we can stretch the hip that way. Takes a lot of the extra pressure out of the knees. So if you find that this is a more comfortable way for you to get that pigeon done, totally fine. And then our last one is the crowd favorite, frog, where we're gonna think about taking the instep of our foot to the ground. I wanna try and keep my knee and my ankle lined up, getting my forearms to the ground from there. I'm gonna sink my hips back into the frog. That's your daily dose of fun today. And since I'm here, I'm gonna do a 2-minute frog.